Live from Universal City, it's Saturday Night Lights, presented by Pechanga Resort Casino.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Night Lights. I'm Olivia Garvey. Next to me is James Coe. I don't know why I just messed up on your first name. I've been talking to you for 12 weeks now, plus.
It's only been a few months now. It's okay,
I'm
Olivia.
sorry. I just got excited that you were here. My bad. We got James Coe next to me. What a day of college football. You just finished up Oregon against Wisconsin.
Yep.
So that wasn't a game that I was expecting to be like that. Let's walk through it.
Look, the bottom line was Oregon did not play very good football in tonight's ball game, right? And again, we saw this early in the season when they struggled against Boise State. They struggled against Idaho. But they've been dominant ever since, Olivia. And really, against this Wisconsin team, we really thought it wasn't going to be very much trouble at all. And it really took a fourth quarter, I guess, a comeback, really, honestly. For Oregon to kind of win this one. It was a very small comeback.
It was a small comeback, but they got it done.
It did. And you know, listen, Heisman hopeful Dillon Gabriel didn't have a great game today either, right? They were down their top wide receiver, and it really was Jordan James that came through in the clutch. 22 carries, 140 total yards. He was very efficient, 5.2 yards per carry on the ground, and a game-tying touchdown as well that you will see right here. So again, Jordan James kind of carried this offense. We really thought it might be Dillon Gabriel, and quite frankly, Olivia, I know he's a Heisman hopeful, but today in tonight's game, he did just enough so that they didn't lose, and they just did just enough to win that ball game.
This was a defensive battle.
It was.
It was a battle. It was a battle for these guys, and I feel like even though it was a very close game in the end, everyone's rooting for Dillon Gabriel and this Oregon team.
Look, this was the bottom line. I don't think that Oregon played very good football, but defensively they were right there. And you know what? If you're Wisconsin, I don't know how you continue on with Braden Locke. Again, over the last 3 games, we're talking about a guy that's completed less than 50% of his passes. We're talking about a guy that over his last 3 games has 1 touchdown versus 4 interceptions. That just can't get the job done. I can't believe it was this close because Braden Locke, Olivia, he had less than 100 yards passing in today's ball game.
Interesting game all around.
That's not good.
No, it's not good. So Oregon has a bye weekend next week before wrapping up the regular season against Washington, Thanksgiving weekend. Can you believe that we're almost at Thanksgiving?
It's been so fast. It's been a lot of fun, though.
I know. That's what's the problem with college football. We need more weeks. They're like, no, we don't. Stop it, Olivia. All right, the Jayden Maiava era is officially underway at USC, and it starts with a win against Nebraska, making everyone in Trojan land very happy. 28-20, the final right there. All right. You and I talked about Jayden last week.
We did.
We were wondering what he would do as QB1 of USC. And you were right. You were on point with this guy. He has the mobility. He uses his legs. He has an arm a little bit better than Miller Moss. I'm not bagging on Miller Moss, and we won't be doing that. But Jayden just has this flair about him, and it was really fun to watch. A
lot of gamesmanship, as you mentioned, the flair, the swagger, the aura, as the kids call it nowadays.
The aura.
He's got plenty of it. He's got that in spades. Now, that being said, I don't think he played a great football game, and this is despite the fact that this guy had 4 total touchdowns. But we're talking about a 71% completion rate, which is great. But the turnovers, this is going to continue to be a problem here for USC, and in particular Jayden Maiava. He threw 1 pick six early on. He threw another turnover-worthy ball into the end zone. That was that right there, that one play where he threw it into the defender, but the defender could not get there, and it ended up being a touchdown. That's the difference in the game. This was the pick six again in that first quarter, and you allow him this one because, again, this is his first game starting in a while. But this turnover in the fourth quarter, can't have it.
No, you can't end like that.
This turnover in the fourth quarter, very loose with the football. I know he was very upset with himself, and he's just trying to make a play. But this right here, you got to tuck that ball away. Ball security is going to be an issue for him, but certainly growing pains here in this week against Nebraska. But you know what? At the end of the day, they win that football game. So those growing
They won.
Yeah, they won.
They won. And of course, in the beginning, he's getting his footing in. He's at the Coliseum. He's with the fans. And then you see him pick it up, and he's like, okay, I got my offense. I know what I'm doing with these guys. And you could tell like we keep saying, he brought that flair with that offensive line, and it was really fun to watch. Now, I know you talk about that turnover in the fourth, but he turned it around, using his legs, getting that touchdown, and ending the game, which we did not see a lot with Miller Moss. We did not see them come back and finish those games in the fourth quarter.
Olivia, to your point, that game-winning touchdown that he had at the end of the fourth quarter there, there's no way Miller Moss is making that play. I mean, a cut back inside, he burns a linebacker or a DB or whatever it was. I mean, a beautiful run from Maiava. And again, those legs and the big arm, it goes a long way. So again, we're certainly picking nits here when we're talking about Jayden Maiava's first game here for USC, because again, he did have an overall pretty good game, but those turnovers, we cut those turnovers out, and USC's in a really good spot. What we didn't talk about too was the fact that Woody Marks, my God.
I love Woody. How can you not love that guy?
Woody came to play.
He was not messing around with his new QB1.
19 carries, 146 rushing yards for Woody Marks, averaging 7.7 yards per carry. He was absolutely fantastic. This is Jayden Maiava, that again, that game-winning touchdown, that game-sealing touchdown right there. That cutback move, man. The mobility for Jayden Maiava.
Everybody loves a QB1 that can run the football and just as well
100%.
throw it. So now I know it's the first week, and I know everyone's very excited, but everyone take a deep breath, and now we see what they can do with their new QB1, right?
Yeah, 100%. So again, what we're going to see, hopefully to close out the year, is Jayden Maiava kind of developing as a passer and developing as a decision maker.
Right.
Again, if he can develop that side of his game, sky's the limit.
And we're going to love the Jayden Maiava, Woody Marks connection. We're all going to love saying it over and over again. So USC and UCLA next Saturday night, right here.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
We got it. We got that game. Kickoff is set for 7:15. All right. While most people were watching the Tyson Paul fight last night, yes, I know you were. Don't even lie to me. The Bruins were busy losing to Washington in Seattle. The Huskies defense, led by Coach Steve Belichick, yeah, you know that name, caused all sorts of problems for the Bruins offense. 31-19, the final right there. So it was not fun to watch. I caught it a little. I didn't watch the whole game. I got to be honest with you guys. But, you know, I did my research. I looked it up, and it was the Bruins team that we thought we put behind us 4 games ago.
Okay. I would say you take a look at that score. You say 31-19, Washington must have dominated. This was a very close battle all the way through 3 quarters, and Washington kind of pulled away late in that 4th quarter. So now I think that Washington obviously they played well enough to win that football game, but UCLA, I still think that UCLA has really developed as a team. I've been so impressed by what they've done over the last 4 or 5 games here, especially considering after they had lost 5 games in a row, for them to get off that skid, build a little bit of a winning streak, and then again in this Washington game, it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty at all.
It wasn't pretty, but the Washington defense obviously came through at the end.
Yeah.
But this was a very, very close game through about 3.5 quarters. So again, I think that UCLA has developed quite a bit under Deshaun Foster.
And I just wanted to see on the defensive side of the ball for USC. Look, I mean, we've seen them dominate the past couple of weeks, but they got those turnovers, but then they didn't execute on those turnovers, right? They didn't do a lot when they got the job done, and that was upsetting to watch.
Look, at the end of the day, too, they needed more help on the ground. 1.6 yards per carry from the running backs. That's obviously not going to get the job done. I thought Ethan Garbers actually played well enough to win this football game. Didn't get a lot of help from the defensive side of the football, at least in the 4th quarter. Their defense did hold up through 3 quarters, but kind of fell off late. And then obviously on the ground game, they just did not get enough in terms of their running back production. And by the way, they've been getting pretty good running back production through this last 4 or 5 games here for UCLA. So a little bit of a letdown, especially against Washington.
All right, so final takeaways. Running the ball. Okay, let's do that next week. Ethan Garbers, continue to do what you're doing in the defense. Just execute on all fronts. So UCLA will need to win its remaining 2 games. They're keeping us on our toes here against USC and Fresno State to become bowl eligible.
It's the Big Ten Blitz.
All righty, we start with second-ranked Ohio State taken to Northwestern at home of the Coveys, Wrigley Field. I love a football game on a baseball field. The Buckeyes shook off a slow start. Will Howard hit Carnell Tate on a pair of TDs. Tate grew up in Chicago, so It's extra sweet for him. Huge game next week between Ohio State and 5th-ranked Indiana. Ooh, that's going to be good. No surprise here as 4th-ranked Penn State rolled Purdue. It feels like Purdue gets beat up a lot in the Big Ten Blitz. Penn State wins it 49-10. They dominated. They're at Minnesota and home against Maryland to wrap up the regular season. All right, Illinois snaps its 2-game losing streak, knocking off Michigan State. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Sean. Luke Altmaier and Pat Bryant connecting on a 57-yard touchdown in the first quarter, 38-16 the final. The Illini will finish the season on the road at Rutgers and Northwestern. Rutgers is now bowl eligible, which I'm sure makes most of New Jersey very happy. The Scarlet Knights knocked off Maryland tonight 31-17. Rutgers doing a lot of damage on the ground. 3 rushing touchdowns. That's good enough to make for the Big Ten Blitz. A lot of fun in college football today. The Sleeper Squad is waking up this week. We'll have guys you need to add to your fantasy football team ahead of tomorrow's games. And it's all fun and games until you get run over by Apple Valley. Some big things happening in high school playoff football.
You're watching Saturday Night Lights on NBC4, presented by Pechanga Resort Casino. Play your perfect combination.